Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Nerdy Up North podcast. Today we are talking all things Tim Burton, and you might have wondered where Sammy is. The reason she's not here is because she's locked away in my basement. But don't worry, I won't be making her into a pie, and she will be back for the podcast next week. I'm one of your hosts, Donna.
And I'm the other host, Paul.
And today we are joined by the wonderful Charlotte and Kelly.
Hello! Skeleton Kelly there. So yes, if you are regulars to the podcast, you will have noticed there's one face that is missing, so I'll just pop her face in there, so she'll pop up on the YouTube channel soon. Sam's got prior occasions, and we had made arrangements to do this, and bless poor Kelly and other people had taken time off work, so I thought it was only fair, and I'm having the wonderful Donna as my co-host tonight, so fans of the group, fans of the podcast will have known Donna and her cookies, and she's here to shake them about for us tonight as well for all things Tim Burton. So yes. So again, it's been a while, Kelly. So how are you? And you seem to have changed facially quite a bit since we last spoke to you.
Yes, I have. And my whole life is a dark room.
I was worried that I thought the jumper was coming off there.
But I am beefing up with the bad stuff, so I will actually, while you're talking to other people, step to the side, maintain my dignity, and return.
Cool. It's all about dignity and respect. That's what the Nerdy Up North mantra should be. But yes.
Hell yeah.
And we've got the lovely Charlotte looking all gothed up with her Tim Burton gear right to the neck, showing off her, her swag there. So how are you, Charlotte?
I'm all right. I don't have a shrine, honestly. I just have more Tim Burton stuff than I realised, and I thought, why not?
True. But I think this was one of your suggestions as well. You've been trying to get us to do a Tim Burton chat for quite a while now. So
I did.
This is your jam, all about it. I know, well, to be fair, we're all 80s, 90s kids. Some a little bit younger than others. Not laughing at that, but we kind of grew up on Tim Burton in a way. He was our childhood, adolescence, sorry, and then he sold out with Disney and went a completely different route. But yes, so if you hadn't guessed by the look and the feel of the podcast, we are doing everything Tim Burton, and thank you, Donna. That was an amazing intro. I wasn't expecting that, but that was really, really good. Yeah, and thank you for everyone in the group as well. We're almost at 4,500, so we're creeping up there. So yeah, and the book club's doing well, isn't it, Charlotte? You're promoting the hell out of that. So,
it is, yeah. More people are getting involved. We've got 240 members now, something like that.
All right. Very interesting.
Oh, actually, I have a winner to announce.
Oh yes, I thought so.
I do. So we put a giveaway on the book club, and if we got reached 220 members, we are giving, me and the lovely Nicole are doing a blind date with a book. So you get 2 mystery books, maybe 3. You get a Nerdy Up North mug and a Nerdy Up North bookmark.
Oh.
And the winner we drew yesterday from a random generator, which I forgot to take a video of, so I do apologise. Emma Blythe?
You said it was Emma Blythe.
Well, Emma Blythe.
Well done, Emma.
We'll put a post up, give her a message, tell her what mug you want, and let her know where to send it.
Cool. And hopefully you're not in America. That's the scary thing now. Now we went international with all these Yanks joining in with the fun now.
Amazing.
But yes. So, my three...
I do the disclaimer before.
Oh, yes. Sorry, you keep us in track. That's why she's the boss.
I might close otherwise. I've had to write it down. So,
Okay, if we don't.
everything discussed in tonight's podcast are our opinions and our opinions alone. If you want to discuss anything from tonight's episode, then please come join us on the Facebook group or get yourself in the comments up below, and we can have an open discussion. We all have our own opinions, and that's what makes us unique. So let's keep it fun, keep it kind, and keep the toxicity out of fandoms.
Well done, Donna. That's it for the first effort. Well done. Were you practicing that beforehand, were you?
No, I just wrote it down because I knew I'd forget it.
To be fair, though, if it was anything else, I would have probably said, look, it's our opinions, fuck off. That's that's what I think we should say. But yes, we'll have to be nice and, like I say, try not to offend people, which we all find it harder and harder to do each day. But yes, so Charles, I'm going to kill you.
No, Kev's just walked past, like tiptoeing, go.
Like a what?
He's just tiptoed past. Like,
so at least he's not flashing you. He could be flashing you.
He might have been. He might be naked. We don't know.
Yeah, naked.
He's not. He's playing T-Rex noises on his phone as he walks past.
All right.
Oh, I want to see that now.
Anyway.
Kev, you creepy bastard. But yes. So we're going to go all goth. I know the three girls have made the effort, and I just couldn't give a fuck. I've got a wonky beard, if that helps. Like I say, the aesthetics of everything that is Tim Burton. So I would love to know what your starting points of how you got to know, like I say, the wonderful world of Tim Burton, and with the introduction to his type of movies. So we'll start with our lovely co-host of the evening. We'll go to Donna there.
I actually don't remember, but I guess I would have probably said it would be Edward Scissorhands. Because I remember watching that really young and I loved that movie, so I would say definitely that movie I think was the first introduction.
Yeah, you shared something last night in the chat that I thought was really lovely as well. That you introduced your daughter to it quite recently as well.
We watched it a couple of days ago. I had a feeling it would be something that she'd like, and she hasn't really watched a lot of Tim Burton movies other than the obvious like Nightmare Before Christmas and whatnot. So I put it on, and she was absolutely glued through the whole thing. She recognised the name. She was like, "Isn't that the name of Stranger Things?" And I was like, "Yeah, it is." But obviously, she didn't recognise her face because she looks a lot younger on there.
Yeah. Oh, bless. Like I say, it's a nice little gateway film into the world of Tim Burton, because that, like I say, Edward Scissorhand, I know we'll probably talk about it a bit more detail later on as well. It's so out there, but it's a nice fairy tale. That's the way I would probably describe it.
Yes. She's recalling it like when she's all old and stuff to her grand, recalling the tale of why it's snowing, and it's just wow. I love the storytelling aspect of the narrators and things. So I totally agree with that.
Yeah. And for a mental idea, like giving scissors to a person for hands, it can't even compute why that would even go into your head, because I know, macabre, warped, just strange. Sorry, I'm gonna take Sam's picture off the front now, because it looks like she's just staring at us quite intensely, and it's scaring us a little bit as well. So bye, Sammy. We'll bring you back later. But so no, great shout there, Donna. Like I say, I would always say it was probably a great gateway for anyone who hasn't seen a Tim Burton film. I would always recommend to say that as a starting point. I've got a feeling I know where Kelly's is going to go, so I'll go with Kelly.
Right, okay, my first encounter was aged 4, babysat by my teenage neighbour who just put a film on, okay, and that film was Beetlejuice.
Yes.
I loved it, but she would always threaten me if I was like kind of playing up. I'll turn it off, I'll put Back to the Future on.
That's not a punishment, I'm sorry.
No, that is not a punishment.
Not at all.
I was like, I want Beetlejuice on, not Back to the Future. So I just remember like adoring it, and there's a picture. I'll have to get my mum to rake it out. I'm brandishing, it's Christmas, I'm brandishing my 2 favourite toys with the backdrop of the front door. Don't know why. Looking a little bit mental, like I normally do. But I'm brandishing a naked Cindy, because we couldn't afford Barbie, and a Beetlejuice action figure. And I used to marry them.
So you wanted to go through with the marriage. You had no problems with Beetlejuice being... Because even though he's a star of the film, I always find it quite interesting, because he's actually the villain, really, isn't he?
And remember my previous description, undead sex pest.
Undead sex pest, yes.
Undead. So, I mean, watching that before, a lot of the in-jokes were very above and very kind of like risque, especially with like the whorehouse and stuff, but that just didn't like register. It was just the fun, the costumes, the the gothic nature, the adoration for Lydia Dietz, who I just wanted to be. And honestly, I just loved the premise of the whole film. The idea that ghosts just minced about and you either saw them or you didn't. The music was lush. Danny Elfman, obviously, who's like a key staple of your Burton films, and the actors absolutely fantastic. Keaton, Winona Ryder, as well as
Gina Davis.
Yes,
Gina Davis.
Alec Baldwin, just absolutely fantastic. My gotherness barometer was forged that day.
Catherine O'Hara.
Yes.
Yes, yeah. Sam would be slapping us in the faces if I didn't mention
Catherine
the
O'Hara.
Bit me tongue, and then you said Gina Davis. I was like, yeah, Gina Davis. Like, oh my God. But yeah, so that was definitely the film that kind of stoked my love of the goth and of Tim Burton.
Tim Burton, like say, when you look at the cast as well, he kind of doesn't. He's very loyal to his cast as well, I think. Or is it just basically he finds people he likes and just stays with them? Because like Winona Ryder, Helena Bonham Carter, Johnny Depp, like I say, were kind of muses to him in a way, where he never kind of went off path with them.
I think sometimes the loyalty is good, but later on it became a little bit of a fault, which I'll probably talk about later. It just seemed like, I'm all for giving, kind of new actors, like kind of airtime and airplay, and it just seemed that it was just like, yeah, you're me bird, get in me film. You know what I mean?
I think he tends to use actors that he knows understand the sort of style he's going for.
Yes, definitely. Yes. Get the performances that he wants, and it's less, because for a director as well, some of the choices he makes are quite daring and bold, especially like when you think about he came from films in the 80s where you can be a little bit out there and you can take a bit more risks, but again, Charlotte will probably slate us for this, but the 90s were a little bit more safer with choices, and where certain directors did go outside the box, and you could tell from because like say most 90s films, sorry Charlotte, were same type of thing, teeny boppers or that type of comedy type of thing. I think or like as I said, it was the big blockbusters, but not many art house or like weird films kind of got through. But I think he kind of broke that mold a little bit as well, like by saying, no, this is the style I want, and I'm not going to change from that. So I think that was always quite important.
He made weird mainstream in the 90s.
Yeah. So he opened a lot of people who wanted to do the same sort of thing, but couldn't, or like was scared to. He just like, what I like about him, he don't give a shit. You know what I mean? It's just like, this is in my mind, and I'm going to you.
I used to always get mixed up with Bob Dylan as well, because the look used to look like so when you look at them. But yeah, so Charlotte, what about you? What was your first dipping your toe, Charlotte feet # into the world of Burton? Sorry.
I think I first became aware of him when The Nightmare Before Christmas came out in '93. But I think the first film I actually saw was Edward Scissorhands.
Yeah. So.
But I didn't see it when it came out, because I think Edward Scissorhands came out 1990, something like that. So I was like 1, if that.
Fuck off.
Rapids. Fucking 1, man.
So, like, when I got into Tim Burton, it was after Nightmare Before Christmas. So, yeah. So
that was like the gateway. Like, I think a lot of people as well, especially you youngsters, bless yous. And The Nightmare Before Christmas, again, we'll probably delve into that one a little bit in more detail, because I adore Nightmare Before Christmas, but this TV show, the movies that made us, kind of changed my opinion on Tim Burton on that as well quite a lot, and it did. Not many. I know it sounds weird when we talk about films, but I'm a massive film fan and nerd. But that one, when I found out like what went on, it kind of upset us a little bit, which like a little piece of us broke down a bit. But again, like I said, we'll go through that one in a bit more detail. But yeah, I can totally understand with you being a youngster. Well, I am 40 this year as well, so just to throw that out.
36 for me. I'm still right.
You're still there.
Notice Donna's really quiet.
To be fair though, Donna looks about 12.
I don't look 12.
But I'll get mine out of the way as well, because this is going to be the ranting part of it. So my first walking or like being introduced to Burton was because I was a comic book fan, and he got announced he was making Batman, and I shit you not, I think I've talked about in previous podcasts. I've even wrote an article about how excited I was for this film. I went to the cinema when my dad tried to get us into the cinema, but I was underage, so they wouldn't let us see it. So they actually stopped us at the door, the bastards. No, actually, I got past the door. So, you know, because it was the old Empire Cinema in Sunderland. It used to be like where the Point is now. It's like a big nightclub. If you young whippersnappers who don't remember, used to have a door, and there used to be a person on the door with a ticker to count how many people in, because they didn't have like technology would tell how people, and that was the first point of entry. You had to get past him first, and as soon as you thought you were past him, you thought you were in. But no, I got past him because my dad hit us, and I was, like I say, to be fair, I was a scrawny, skinny little. I think I can't remember the age. Probably 8 or 9 at the time. It might have been 10, and it was a 15, I think. So I managed to claw my way past him. But the woman at the ticket office saw us, and she refused to sell us a ticket. So I remember that. And again, being like not the digital age, after that we had to wait for not just to buy the film, you had to wait for the video rental, which come out 6 to 8 months after the cinema release. And then
long time.
Yeah, and then to buy the film, it was a year after it was been in the cinema. So people complain to wait a few weeks now. Imagine Spider-Man spoilers now in them days.
Don't mention it.
Yeah. So when I finally got to see it, I've never been so disappointed in a movie. Like visually beautiful.
Yeah. Oh, you need to give it credit where credit's due. Like.
Yeah, but the choices, like, I'm sorry, Jack Nicholson as the Joker. Fuck off. That was not the Joker. That was not the Joker I've read about. That is not the. Even Cesar Romero as the 66 version of the Joker was more menacing and felt real. Where this one, it was just a gangster playing a Joker. It was obsessed with money and having a fucking fight with Batman over a girl.
Yeah. It just wouldn't ring true. I think the reason, I mean, I'm not excusing Tim Burton like at all. I think he was trying to keep in with that sort of film noir, you know, the visual aesthetic.
Oh, it was very Frank Miller, 19 like say that look and visual. Like even now, I think the logo, like the crest on Batman and the batsuit, like even though it was the least functional, it looked best. There's not been a Batman that looks as well as Michael Keaton in the Batman. And when you think about the cast as well, that film should have been fucking amazing.
Yeah.
And it wasn't.
Yeah. I did appreciate the choice of Michael Keaton, like, because he just looked like a man. And I think a lot of people were like, well, why didn't he choose one a little bit more kind of, you know, like, hinge? But that's the whole idea behind it. He's just a man.
Yeah.
And then so I really think Michael Keaton was a saving grace in that film.
Well, that was, like I said, when you saw that in Batman Returns, that was the difference. Because Michael Keaton was the perfect Bruce Wayne. Like, absolutely, you won't get a better Bruce Wayne than Michael Keaton. That aspect and, like I say, that look as well. But, again, I know we like I say, we're all about love and we don't really say the hate word as well, but that one really did upset us. And I was a little bit worried when, like I say, to watch Tim Burton films after that. But as Kelly said, I was followed up after Batman with Beetlejuice, and he couldn't do no wrong for a long time after that. So,
he redeemed himself.
He did, definitely. And I didn't realise as well that Beetlejuice actually was before Batman, I believe. Like say when it came out, because the tone and everything with Beetlejuice, my parents were a little bit apprehensive to let us watch it. So I was probably a little bit older to watch Beetlejuice to fully understand it. But I think the thing that gets me with Beetlejuice the most as well is not just like the look and the feel, is the music used. Even like the things when Beetlejuice is like, well, like say as you said, Danny Elfman doing the stuff around it was always like quite catchy, and loved it. And to be honest, it had Winona Ryder, and like say anything Winona Ryder did at the time, I was obsessed with, like from Heathers.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It's just
So yes, so that was my little foray into like I say the whole Tim Burton things. But I know he has, as you said, one of Charlotte's favourite films that she mentioned the other day was Batman Returns as well, which is a ton first. Like it's a comic book film, but not at the same time.
It's a Christmas film.
Oh, it is. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Everything about it was just right though. Like the casting was brilliant, and like after the first Batman, it kind of felt like the studio trusted his vision of Batman a bit more.
Mm-hmm. Oh, definitely.
And they let him have a bit more influence over what was actually going to be put on screen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what I particularly liked about it was the way in which he created the character of the Penguin. That he was rather than a man who dressed.
Danny DeVito, sorry.
Rather than a man penguin, this was like a person who was, flung away, not dead, brought up by penguins, became mutated, and you can see why he's got to be in his fucking bonnet. He wants to be accepted. He is the villain that I have the most love for. I absolutely adore him. I feel for him, and you go on a journey with him, and I really like that kind of like twist of there was something kind of that separated him as an outcast, a mutant, and then he was given kind of way of kind of getting into society, realizing society's just shit.
I love what he did with Selena Kyle. I mean, Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman is unbelievable,
amazing.
But her transformation is genius. It's absolutely brilliant. Like she goes just from somebody you wouldn't look at if you walk past on the street,
like a proper downtrodden secretary type thing,
to somebody you notice when she walks in a room.
Yeah, she became a person that she always had the fear of trying to be. It's almost like the id ego and super ego, you know what I mean? She really came into herself, and it just, one of my favorite parts of that film is, like, as you say, the transition, when she's drinking the milk and the milk's all over her face, and she's just like, I just fell out of a window. My wounds.
But the thing is, though, that about that film as well, we're talking about a comic book film that went, it wasn't, I would say it went beyond ridiculous. Like, when you think about the premise of it as well, Penguin was brought up by fucking penguins, not by wolves, by fucking penguins. Yeah.
But it was so people, you just accepted it. It didn't feel ridiculous, you know what I mean?
No, I completely agree, but that's how ridiculous it was. But then Selena Kyle become Catwoman, as you said, because she fell out a window and cats numbed down her finger for a bit.
I think a massive part of that was that she didn't fall out the window, she was pushed.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
And I think that is a huge part of like her driving force of like her turning into Catwoman.
Revenge.
It's why she's so angry. It's why she turns into a villain, I guess.
Yeah, I love the fact as well. Not like I said, I don't think it's ever been used in the comic. I could be wrong. The whole 9 lives aspect of Catwoman and how she like played on that all the way through, saying, "Oh, like something happened. That's a life gone down," and stuff like that. It's them little things that kind of made it a little bit better. And everyone hates a creepy clowns and creepy circus as well. And I guess Tim Burton had a time of his life creating, like I said, that henchman as well. I don't think that's one thing that any of the newer Batman films or anything has done, where they've had good henchmen Because in the comics, or even in, like, say, in the cheesy TV show, even in the cartoon, like, the characters always had interesting henchmen or interesting, like, people like sidekicks that used to not be main characters, but you could tell they would belong to this type of crew.
Yes.
What about you, Donna? Have you got any fond thoughts of the return of the Batman?
I quite liked it, but I also probably say that mainly because of Danny DeVito's Penguin. I do think you look at that character and definitely think it's Tim Burton, like it's so his style.
Yeah.
So grotesque.
Like the ducks, is it the ducks that they're on, is just so quintessential Tim Burton. Like if you think of Tim Burton, that's probably one of the first images that comes into your head.
Yeah, and the penguins with rocket packs on the back.
No, picking up on what you were saying there, Charlotte, there are so many almost like trademark characteristics that feature within all of Burton's films. You've got the black and white stripes. You've got the current image of Jack Skeleton. He was on the top of the carousel, his head in Beetlejuice when he
was the first time Jack Skeleton was ever on film. Yeah,
which is just, and the fact that continuity, it's just lush. He just got these just iconic elements, like the way in which he depicts suburban life. These bright, gaudy, fake. It's got an underlying symbolism to it, and then obviously like the kind of gothic. Everything's so spindly. Like mountain.
It's almost like something's about to snap off or break. Like everything looks either perfectly done, but almost like if you touched it, it would break. Like it was almost like he was brought up with toys that you could never touch.
You look at Jack Skeleton and you think, how are you walking on them legs?
Yes.
Right. So I remember, he's a little fucking anecdote, right? I remember I got Nightmare Before Christmas on VHS when I was 7, when it came out. So I remember seeing a trailer for it. And I was like, I want it. She got it for Christmas. And make your own snow globe. And it showed you how to make things out of plastic. And I was like, fuck that. I'm making a Jack Skeleton. Well, of course.
It didn't work.
Didn't fucking stand up to me. He was just a git on like a git enveloped body. You know what I mean? Fucking go, like, definitely. Very pleased with my efforts. Then I put him in the oven and then he just like mutated. It wasn't a good time.
That sounds horrific. But I think, as you said, going with the aesthetics, like, he used quite monotone colours, but also had striking ones so that they had more of an impact. As you said, with Batman, them ducks, like the brightness of the colours of like, and how that jumped out. Like Nightmare Before Christmas, everything was like quite grey and thing until, like, say, it went to Christmasland and the lights and everything kind of shone and made it brighter as well. Even going from like more recent films like Dumbo and stuff, like everything's quite dark, but then you go to the Ring Top and everything's like shining out and like bright as out. But yeah, like there's been when you think about it, he's been involved with so many different things like in the past as well. But I'm quite interested to know what this is going to be the hard one to answer for you. Is what is your favourite Tim Burton film?
I knew you were going to ask that, and I have not decided.
You have not decided, okay.
I was trying to think.
I'll tell you what, I'll break the mould a little bit there, and I'll go first with this one, because it'll probably not be one that you think. Because I watched this film and not expecting much, and honestly, I cried my eyes out nearly all the way through it.
I know what you mean.
I think I know what you're saying.
Big Fish.
Big Fish.
Big fucking hell. Amazing.
Yeah.
It is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
I also cried.
Yeah.
Did anybody not cry?
I'm thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
It is just such, oh my God. And yet again, it's that idea of storytelling. Because you mentioned earlier about, Winona Ryder as the grandmother telling the story. You've got Nightmare Before Christmas, that storyteller element of the narrator at the beginning going through the doors. But this, it's just the way in which this father who just loves telling these stories, which are just absolutely fantastical, but not living up to reality. And that's what, like, is him and his son, the chalk and cheese. He likes the practical. That's the way. And then flash, and it's fortune of blade.
See, my take on that was completely different to that, because it was the relationship. Like the whole film was about the relationship with the son and the father, and how the son never quite understood him. But what I liked about it as well is the fact, I know most of it was probably bullshit, but there was hints of truth in like his storytelling. His dad liked to embellish and make things sound more fantastical. So he probably did live this amazing life, going through like the wars. And I say I'm not normally his biggest fan, but Ewan McGregor was absolutely like special, like really, really like, amazing in this film. And as you said, the cast, like Ewan McGregor, Billy Cupboard, Albert Finney, Jessica fucking Lang, for God's sake, Jessica Lang, and Helena Bonham Carter were absolutely splendid. And that little story with Helena Bonham Carter in like the little village where they go to, and where they throw the shoes up so that they would never leave type thing. It's such a beautiful thing, and when he goes back, like Billy Cupboard's character, he finds the actual village, and he finds that it was actually true, and the shoes are still hanging there. It was them little touches that, and again, going to the fantastical, like when his dad's unfortunately going to pass, he doesn't pass in a way because his son takes over the story and tells how his dad turns into the biggest fish, and that's how it's in the lake. And honestly, it's amazing. And I know a lot of people give Tim Burton not as much credit when it comes to like storytelling for films wise. Like it's all about the aesthetics, all the looks, and like the shock factor as well, because he did play that a lot till he went to Disney. But for a beautiful film, it's amazing. It's one of the most perfect films out there.
And highly
people forget because they focus so much on Tim Burton's style and how he designs films, because he is an artist. When it boils down, they forget how much of a beautiful storyteller he can be. And like films like that show why he is such a good director, because he tells story through film like nobody else can.
No, I love that one. So who wants to go next then?
I'll go next. Why not? Mine would be Big Fish. As I say, I know it's based on a book. I haven't read the book. It's one of those things that I've always been meaning to do, but
really hard to find.
It's one of those films that I picked up because it was Tim Burton. Like I saw it direct by Tim Burton. I was like, oh, let's get it. And I was pleasantly surprised because it was a little bit of a wild card compared to the ones that he's done previous. I mean, there is still elements of like the weird and the grotesque and the macabre, but more to do with, as you say, kind of the storytelling element, the embellishment, making it sound better. Because the thing is, it's that trying to forge a relationship with his son with this like fantastical way of, but the son just doesn't understand. You've got that like clash of character that goes full circle at the end when he finishes the story himself. But yet again, you've got those recurrent characters. Danny DeVito's in there. Was it the lady out of Mars? Is it she's in Mars Attacks? I'm sure. She's a strange looking lady. Forgotten her name. She's been in a few of it. You've just got those recurrent characters there. But one of my favourite parts of it, the Siamese twins. This thing, and he makes friends with them, and the funeral at the end where you see the people and you're like, oh, it's the Siamese twins, but the two separate people. So it's like, shit, he was like telling the, you know what I mean? It's just, it's absolutely lovely. But one of my other favourite bits is when he's a kid and they go to the haunted house, because every place has a haunted house. And, like, look into the eye, you'll see how you die. Like, I was very young.
That's it. I used to always go to Cherry Knoll Hospital every Halloween, so don't worry.
And that kind of, because he looks into the eye, he's like, Miss, I want to see your eye. Love that.
Yeah, the twang, like, say, the accents and stuff, like Albert Finney as well. Like, I could listen to him talk for hours, just like with that like say when he was doing that accent, it was like kind of like a southern drawl as well. It was just absolutely perfect. But yeah, I can't sing highly enough for this film. I don't, as I said, I don't think it gets the credit it deserves, especially with. I think, I don't know, like I say, it might have been the time it came out, but it was very wasn't very marketed well, or there wasn't any big news about it. I think, you know what probably was? It was probably because it's an original film without having, like I say, another sequel or, like I say, a big blockbuster. But as a story, I would always suggest, like I say, one of the greatest Tim Burton films he's made.
I would always suggest that as a go-to for, like, I know, like, you could say, oh, watch Edward Scissorhands, watch Beetlejuice, because that's like the quintessential Burton. But I would always say, for people who are not really into the gothy sort of, you know, kind of edgy sort of thing, I would always say Big Fish has got something for everyone. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's an all-rounder. It's just absolutely lush. Although I don't think it's very nice that, like, she's engaged to his mate and he just totally, like, kind of ruins it for them. I know the men. He's just this lad who's like, well, hey, that's my fiance.
Wow.
It was kind of stalkerish, like, wasn't it? I've just been like thinking about you for 3 years. I'm going to turn up at your house and you're going to marry us.
It was romantic back in the day, though. Like I said, I've told the story about my dad. I wouldn't be around if he wasn't a stalker. So, but let's have it. Yes.
I reckon a lot of people will have watched it and not even like know it's Tim Burton. And Ewan McGregor is perfect for that role, but I do have a soft spot for Ewan. So,
all right. So, with you saying that, Donna, let's move on to. I know you were undecided. I'm going to put you on the spot now. Pick one.
I really don't know what my favourite is. Can Charlotte go first?
Okay,
I don't think you've decided either.
You haven't got to shout to Grant to help you today, so it's fine.
No. So my favourite Tim Burton film is Corpse Bride.
Right. Okay.
I love that film, and it's the music in it.
Mm-hmm.
It's Danny Elfman again.
Yeah. I don't think he's made many films without Danny Elfman.
But it's the music in it, and it was the first, like, animation Tim Burton had done since The Nightmare Before Christmas, I think.
Yeah.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
And I just love it. It was beautiful, and the music in it, and the story, and again the use of colour, like the land of the living is very drab and monotone, and then you get to the land of the dead, and it's like a massive party, and it's colourful. And it's everybody just living life to the fullest, and it's the land of the dead.
Mm-hmm. No,
I just loved it. Absolutely love it.
Yeah, I don't like it. No, it's one of them where everyone keeps on saying you've got to love it, but I love the look. Like I say, as I've said before, I am a huge Nightmare Before Christmas fan, but I kind of never got this one. I think it might have been, like I say, one of the ones that passed me by. I do try and revisit it, but I know it's not a Tim Burton, but I think Coraline came around at the same time, and I know they're completely different films, different tones, different things, but Coraline for me was the darker and more epic type of story.
Isn't Caroline Henry Selick though?
No, it's got nothing to do with Tim Burton, but it was just like it was one of them films that came out.
Yeah, wasn't Henry Selick connected to Coraline as well though?
I think you might be correct there, because when I was looking at, because obviously Nightmare Before Christmas is not directed by Tim Burton.
Henry Selick, yeah.
As is James and the Giant Peach. And
that film so much.
Yeah. But you can kind of see when they are teamed up, they work really well. But I kind of understand where you're coming from with The Corpse Bride. I went to see it at the cinema, and this is when I think my interest in Tim Burton started to like dwindle a little bit, because it's not about matching like previous, because every film should be its own individual, you know, kind of exploit. But I couldn't help but think, well, I like The Nightmare Before Christmas better. Like, I think it's all right, but I kind of like appreciated it. And I love the characters and the story and the premise, but it wasn't one of those films where I'd be like, oh yeah, like really excited to watch again. I would just watch like, oh, I haven't watched that for a while. Like I'll watch that. Like I appreciate it, but I wouldn't say it was one of my kind of go-to Burton films if I wanted to like have a Burton marathon sort of thing.
It's a great left field choice though, Charlotte, because I know that, as I said, there's so many ones that I probably would have thought you would have went for as well. But that was, like I say, surprised us a little bit, but I can understand why, like I say, that film as well, especially like I say with the like I say, because the bride and everything is absolutely beautiful. Like I say, even for like a model and everything, it, like I say, everything is done to perfection. That's probably it. You know what it is? It didn't have as many flaws as other films, I think. So it was a little bit too pristine and a little too polished.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that kind of lost it to me as well. Yeah. But so no, good choice. So coming to Donna now, have you made your mind up, or have you just got a long list you're gonna throw at us?
I think I was torn between Nightmare Before Christmas, which is probably an obvious one for people, and Edward Scissorhands, but I think I'm going to go Edward Scissorhands. It's probably the more obvious choice, but I think it's just with it being the first one, and I love Johnny Depp in it, and I just love the story. Like, it's a beautiful story, so I would say that one.
It's such a sad film, though. I don't think it's a happy film.
No, it's
not at all.
There's parts in it where I'm like inwardly cringing, like gets caught up in the robbery and the shame that he feels, and it's just like when he bloody busts the waterbed, you're like, you poor sod, and then the alcohol, and he's like,
So Donna, what aspects was it that drew you to this one though? Was it the story, or was it just the pure like weirdness of it, shall we say?
I would say probably a mixture of everything. The story, like the fact that the Avon woman just casually goes up and walks into the house and takes random scissor guy home. But
it's just so lovely, you know. She's just like, Avon, clean. I'm
going to take you home with me. I had to explain to Alexis what a waterbed was. Actually, that was quite funny.
It's not where you piss the bed, so don't worry. But no, and like I say, it was probably the first time I saw Winona Ryder as a blonde as well, which kind of threw me for a loop.
Still doesn't look right.
No. But
all the goddamn nosy neighbours. You just hate the neighbours.
But like, you slowly start to hate them more and more, and the hairstyles get crazier and crazier, and like the bushes, like when they start doing dinosaurs and shit like that was just hilarious. But I just love the tones where the changes going from like when he was in the mad scientist's haunted house castle thing, then coming to suburbia, and it was like all bright colours and like Diego, and he still was like I say, this pale poor thing. When they try and put him in a shirt as well, it was like, oh, you poor bastard.
It's like integrate in society. It was like she tried to like help him, but I think he helped them.
Yeah.
His character, his quirks and stuff. I mean, he brought that kind of, you know, the individuality of like the hairstyles and the privet creatures. You know, he brought a little bit of like kind of weirdness that they come to appreciate. But it was that idea in the end. There's no truth. There was only one person who fully understood him, and it was, you know, the character of Winona Ryder. Which is heartbreaking, and the fact that he goes back and he still has in his mind the image of what she was in the past, and the fact that it never snowed until she was like, I'm alive because it snows, and that's like, oh, it simultaneously warms and breaks my heart. It's just like
it's absolutely one of Johnny Depp's best performances as well.
Oh yeah.
But so simple though. Like you see, you could have overacted that and done like made it ridiculous, but he did play it just the right tone and everything as well. But what I do think why it's probably one of Donna's favourite films as well, just simply because it had the mum in from Lost Boys.
Yeah.
The best mother in the 80s teen films. But yeah. But no, I love Edward Scissorhands. Like it's just like say tonally, like say one of the films, and I don't think it's a film that needed a sequel or needs a sequel. I don't think you can ever do a sequel or ever be remade because it just wouldn't work. Like say we're telling the same story, and I loved that it was like his dad was Vincent Price as well.
Oh, it was his last role, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was one of his last roles. His dad before he passed away. So having like say something, and that must have meant a lot for Tim Burton as well to have such an icon because even the aesthetics for all his films, like he done Frankenweenie as well, like the live action, not just the cartoon one. Before like that was based on Hammer Horror as well, so you can see them.
He actually wrote and drew a really short film when he was quite young. I don't know if he was a teenager, he might have been a bit older, but it was called Vincent.
Yes.
And it was all about Vincent Price.
Ah, right. I never knew that.
Yeah.
It was like, definitely. Yeah. And I dare say, when Vincent Price agreed to be in the film, he was just like, oh, total fanboy. Oh my God.
And it's especially like it must mean so much to him now because it's probably the film that got him a bit more noticed mainstream.
Yeah, 100%. That's when.
And for it to be Vincent Price's last role as well, like.
Yeah. Because I remember, like, say, Edward Scissorhands blown up when that came out. I know Beetlejuice was big and stuff like that, but I think Edward Scissorhands was the one that just went skyrocketing, went with anything. He can pretty much do anything he wanted after that. Most companies just give him thing, but he has made some weird and wonderful films as well. I remember like one of the early films I watched as a kid was Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That was like his first big film.
And, like trying to get his bike and having the pervert that is Pee-wee Herman.
He was in Batman Returns as well, wasn't he? Wasn't he Penguin's dad?
Was he?
Sure he was.
I'll have to look into that. I didn't know, but
sure he was.
Possibly.
He's also the vampire. The Pee-wee is the vampire in the film Buffy the Vampire Slayer. He's
he's the one that overacts, going, ooh, ooh.
But no, picking back up with Edward Scissorhands, I remember I won second prize at a church fete for dressing up as Edward Scissorhands.
Oh, that's awesome.
My hair, put talc on my face, and with an old red lipstick and the blunt side of a knife, did like little cuts and stuff. And you know how I did the Scissorhands?
Oh, well then.
Wrapped my fingers in tin foil.
That's the safest way. I thought you would have actually used real scissors, knowing you.
I thought you were going to say you duct tape scissors to your hands.
We wrapped my fingers in tin foil, and the guy who judged the competition was the one. He was in Biker Grove. He had long hair.
To be fair, everyone's been in Biker Grove. That's neat claim to fame. Sorry.
Someone cut his ponytail off. I got second prize there. Fucking I'm sure someone was dressed as like Mary, you know. Because they had to win, and he was just like, "Oh, will you show everyone your Scissorhands?" And I just stood there going, I got a Toblerone. I won a Toblerone.
But I think, like, say, there was a lot of stories afterwards that I think with Tim Burton, after he made these films and got as big, that he's probably, I don't know, it's always with Hollywood, and I think that his ego did take over. That, like say, coming to what like say, I know Donna, you mentioned that one of your favourite films was Nightmare Before Christmas, which is an absolutely beautiful, amazing film. But then when you watch, because you thought Tim Burton had more to do with that than he actually did, but then when you watch that show, like say the films that made you, I couldn't believe, like say, no, he had the original concept and he had the idea of a few of the characters, but that was it. Then he went off, swanned off. He gave everyone else the job and left and thing. Then if someone dared disagree or anything, he was completely, apparently from what they were telling us, he was a complete knobhead.
He fell out with Danny Elfman whilst working on that.
Yeah, because he recast his voice. Because he promised him he could be Jack Skellington's voice and said no, sorry.
But the difference is, thankfully, because to be honest, I don't think his films would have been the same without Danny Elfman.
No, Danny Elfman's music makes Tim Burton's films what they are.
Hand in hand, you know, you can't have one without the other. So, to be honest, I I'm glad he kind of, you know,
Mm-hmm.
the patched up the differences. I really hope Tim Burton, like, I don't know, got him a really good fruit basket or something. As
Danny Elfman got paid. That's simple as that. He got paid.
But I mean, like, because the thing is, I don't think you can. They have such. You can see the camaraderie of how they work together in the films because it matches so well. I don't think you could have like. Unless that they had like a good relationship with each other, you know. I don't think it was just the money. I think it was just like, do you know what, we work well together and we need to work together to make these films as amazing as they became. Do you know what I mean?
See, I wasn't that surprised by the movie that made the thing that surprised me about the movie that made us about Nightmare Before Christmas was that it wasn't heavily featured on Tim Burton, because I've got books and books on it. So I knew that predominantly it was Tim Burton's idea, but that was it.
Mm-hmm.
So I really liked the fact that they took the credit and gave it to the people who actually made the film.
Yes, that was the thing.
The animators,
the director,
the script writers, the director, the people who were there physically shooting 3 seconds of film a day.
Yeah.
12 hours a day. Because I've always said, like, as much as I love it and as much as I love Tim Burton, he gets way too much credit for that film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
He does.
Like, fair enough, you can always have that idea. Like, and like, I'm not saying I'm Tim Burton, but like I say, I did come up, when I came up with the idea with Nerdy Up North, it's not my baby anymore. Everyone who's involved has took that and ran with it and made it what it is. I can't take credit for that anymore. Like I say, all I did was come up with an idea, but I think with Tim Burton, especially because I know Disney didn't want anything to do with it. It was too dark, too scary. So instead of putting Walt Disney's Nightmare Before Christmas, they put Tim Burton's Nightmare Before Christmas and give it to, was it Touchstone? The Disney cast-off one, where it was kind of owned by Disney, but they didn't like to put their name to it type thing. So,
it was more for the more adult films, wasn't it? Because I think 10 Things I Hate About You was Touchstone and things like that.
No, definitely. Yeah. But it just shows that, like, say, certain things and certain perceptions of it kind of thing, because like, they were saying that he would only come in for a day and then start kicking walls and kicking off, saying this isn't what I wanted. But how do they know it's what you wanted if you're not fucking here?
Yeah.
So, he was working on, was it Batman Returns at the same time?
Yeah.
So he was hardly ever there.
Mm-hmm. Because Warner Brothers was giving him the Warner Brothers money, the DC money there. So, but because I think after that he was given the option to do the next Batman film, which was Batman. Wasn't Batman Forever. It was Batman Forever, then Batman Robin, because he was supposed to be involved and he turned it down.
And that's why he turned the role down as well, because he wanted to work with Tim Burton. So that's when they got Val Kilmer involved.
Yeah.
Yes.
Check me out. Search.
But
he also turned down Gremlins.
Good. Thank God.
Which I think Tim Burton's Gremlins, I kind of want to see, but
no, I could live my life
at the
without
same
seeing
time.
that. No.
I think Gremlins was probably kind of scary enough for the audience. It was. I think it would have been a bit too cartoony with Gremlins. I don't think that would have been my bag. But like I say, the funniest Hollywood story I heard was Kevin Smith tells a story any chance he gets. It's hilarious. Basically, because when before Tim Burton got involved with the infamous Superman film, because Tim Burton was actually going to be making Superman, and guess who was supposed to be playing Superman? Nicolas Cage.
And they had him in outfits and everything as well.
And everything.
The images have been released. It's weird, but yeah. But basically, before Tim Burton took over, they hired Kevin Smith to write the script for Superman, because they thought, big nerd, big Superman fan, where can it go wrong? So he wrote this script that involved like Brainiac, Crypto was in the dog, like there was a big battle scene in the Fortress of Solitude. Like, so you can get the script online. It's absolutely amazing. Like it's one of the when I read it, it's unfilmable. It's that fantastical, but it's Kevin Smith doing Superman. And he took it to the producers who were making it, and Kevin Smith was like, okay, so what changes did you make? He goes, you know what Superman needs to fight? He's good. Okay, what? What's the most deadliest thing you can ever think of? What men are terrified of? And he goes, okay, what? He went, Superman needs to fight a giant fucking spider. So Kevin Smith was like, I've went through all the lore, went through all the backstories. Superman has never fought a giant spider. It doesn't make sense. But this Hollywood producer at Warner Brothers went, spiders are terrifying. Everyone gets scared of spiders, and he should do it. So Kevin Smith was like, "Fuck this shit. I'll see what I can do." So yeah, he never wrote a giant spider into it. I will come to Tim Burton bit in a second. Just this bit's hilarious. The producer ended up getting fired from the film and moved on to a different film. Well, not fired. Got asked to produce another film. Guess what film he produced? With Will Smith and Calvin Klein, Wild Wild West.
Oh, God.
What was the big bad guy in it? Kenneth Branagh on a giant robotic spider.
Big spider.
So yeah, so he got his giant spider that fucking flopped. So so after this producer got let go, they brought Tim Burton on to direct Superman. So they introduced Kevin Smith. They still had Kevin Smith writing for the script. He gave Tim Burton the script. The next day, Kevin Smith was fired from Superman because it wasn't Tim Burton's vision, but he wouldn't even really meet with Kevin Smith or explain why. So for years, Kevin Smith has signed the script because, as I said, you can download it off the internet, and at the top he always writes, "Fuck you, Tim Burton." For making him lose, he's like he's what he classed as his dream job back then.
Tim Burton was quite known for doing that, though. He after Batman 1 came out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, after Batman 1 came out, he was banned from all Comic-Con events because of how much he'd deviated from the comics.
Mm-hmm. So yeah,
they just didn't like it.
It's all, like I say, I'm all about, well, to be fair, I've always had to be ranting about the Batman, so I'm not going to go into there and get all upset again. But I think with a lot of aspects, he does that, and I don't think it's a bad thing at times. Like, sometimes it works, sometimes it does. Like, I know a lot of people love Sleepy Hollow, but
I love Sleepy Hollow.
I'm in the middle with Sleepy Hollow. I love the aspects, I love the vision, but I don't like Johnny Depp in it, and that's hard because I like Johnny Depp in most things. I love him in I go back to 21 Jump Street thing and think he was good in that, but I just don't think it's a weird role from him, and I don't get the aspects of how his mum was killed in the what was it, the Iron Maiden, that's what I was trying to say. And how he becomes scared of blood and that aspect, and how the blood looked like tomato ketchup. It never looked quite like tomato ketchup.
It was supposed to be like Burton's homage to Hammer Horror, though, wasn't it? It was supposed to look cheesy and a bit fake and a bit weird.
Yeah.
Love him. Does pay homage. I love the fact that he pays homage to the things that made him, which leads me to something that I think gets a really bad rap, and I don't know why. Mm-hmm. And I love Mars Attacks.
Thank you.
And you Mars Attacks. I don't like Mass Death. Mass Death upsets us, but I like this Mass Death because it's literally Burton gans up to his mates. Hey, yeah, fancy making a funny film or something? Oh, why not? Oh, let's put Sarah Jessica Parker's head on a dog. Fucking class.
But
I said this as one of my disaster movies, and everyone was like, "No, it's crap."
Yeah,
it's fucking mint.
No, it's basically War of the Worlds done poorly, and the fact that they spend the film just going ack. Again, a simple putting a little, just tell you what the fuck they're saying would be more funny.
Put subtitles on.
Subtitles would have been comedy. And then, like I said, ripping off War of the Worlds again with, instead of the cold virus, having this horrendous song killing off all the aliens and making their brains explode was just...
The cast, though, the cast, it should have been absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
but it is a bit cheesy and I still love it. But it
It
is a
should have
bit.
been hilarious. No, I agree. It should have been hilarious, but there was so many missed opportunities. Like visually, you won't get a more beautiful film. And I think, like,
it's a laugh. I love it because it's a laugh. They're not taking themselves seriously at all. The rules are ridiculous. Fucking Tom Jones, man.
I'd rather watch Planet of the Apes. I'd rather watch Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes.
Oh, that's going a bit far.
You know what? Like I say, I do understand people's take on it, but I see this film as just, it wasn't set out to be a blockbuster. It's a bit of fucking fun.
Oh, I see the visually that they spent money on this, so they wanted to make money back.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
I did not. I probably thought, like in my mind, like I just see it as for what it is, and it is just a bit of fucking fun. Jack Black's hilarious in it.
It could have been so much better though.
No, but as I say, like he's paying homage to like those collecty cards back in the day, the B movie sort of horror. I love Martin Short. I introduced.
That's why I always get a little bit skeptical when it comes. Well, not skeptical. Like I think there's a fine line between homage and ripping off.
Yeah.
And I think I think certain films he does it well.
Yeah,
but this one he rips off more than he pays homage to.
Oh, I just hilarious. With the cows on fire, that used to make me upset. Oh, the poor cow.
I think that's why, like, his more recent films I fell out of love with a bit, because he doesn't pay homage to like his influences and what made him want to get into films and things like that as much. Like, I hated what I know we don't use that word, but I hated what he did to the Miss Peregrine series. That film.
I won't watch it.
Books are probably one of my absolute favourite series of books, recently. And the film, like, when I heard Tim Burton's doing Miss Peregrine, I was like, yes, this is it. This is what he was made to do. And then I saw, like, what we got. Yeah. And it didn't feel like a Tim Burton film, and I think he's losing that a little bit.
Yeah.
Because he's going more studio.
Yeah, he's more, like, saying, because I think back when he was doing, like, for example, Edward Scissorhands, Beetlejuice, it was all practical effects. Now it's a CGI mess with a lot of the stuff, especially like say Dumbo and like say with Miss Peregrine as well. It had such a rich interest in like what could have been, like the story that could have told. I guess. Yeah. What about you, Donna? Do you disagree or do you agree with anything we're saying here?
Sorry, I'm quiet. Well, I'll go back to Sleepy Hollow first. I have not been able to get through the full movie. I always get to about halfway through and I either get sidetracked, I get bored, or fall asleep, and I can't get through that one. But I need to watch it all the way through to get the full picture, but I can't get to that one. And the one you're talking about, Charlotte, I actually went to the cinema to see that when it came out. So I haven't read the books, obviously, but I get what you mean. It just wasn't that good. I remember being excited for it. I can actually not really remember much of the movie now. So
yeah, I think that's the problem with it as well. It's not memorable, and it should have been. But again,
I don't know if any.
Sorry. But I was going to say.
I don't know if anybody's.
What I was going to say about Donna said about Sleepy Hollow as well. Yeah, because there's certain bits where you flag, and and like say there's lulls. I know like you want like tones and valleys and stuff when it comes to films. You don't want it always to be straight at the 10 or straight thing, but it kind of lulls too long as well. So if you're not paying your full attention, you're not going to be sitting there. It won't grip you. But yeah, sorry about that, Charlotte.
No, I was going to say, I don't know if anybody's read the books, but if you've read the Miss Peregrine books, they are made for Tim Burton, and I think maybe that's what he's trying to do. You hear things like Sleepy Hollow, and you hear things like Miss Peregrine, you hear things like he's doing the Addams Family, and you think, yes, this is made for Tim Burton.
I'm a little bit
and he tries to maybe give people something unexpected, rather than
stick to what he's got.
People what they want, what he's known for. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no,
which is where I think maybe he's going a little bit off.
Yeah, I
I
agree.
understand.
Yeah, I agree
Yeah.
with a lot of that. Like I say, he's maybe changing things for changing's sake, but he's kind of lost the darkness element as well. He's got a lot of stuff where it's still got the same tones and stuff. Like Dumbo, I think he went too opposite, and like certain characters just had no redeeming features, but a lot of the like characters in previous
I didn't get
Burton
Dumbo at all.
has redeeming features. And to be honest, as a cartoon, Dumbo is one of the scariest and most upsetting cartoons. Like when the elephants on parade, that song comes on, you never like nightmare just for life. There's only Pinocchio, I think, that's scarier when it comes to Disney cartoons. But let's just hope Tim Burton stays the fuck away from that. But but the only thing.
I can't watch Dumbo because there's an elephant in it. I can't watch any films with animals because my dogs go fucking leet. All right, so I can't with animals or anything. It's hilarious. But I really mirror your like what you were saying, Charlotte, about really being excited to see, Miss Peregrine. My love for Tim Burton was lost with Alice in Wonderland. I am a massive fan of the Disney film, obviously a massive fan of the books. You know what I mean? Just absolutely John. And when I heard he was doing it, I was just, as you, oh my God, this is it. I'm
going to get into Wonderland because I can do this for hours.
I went, the day it was released, they also released the Alice in Wonderland DS game, which I bought. I bought it, then I went to the cinema on my own to watch it and bask under the light of Burton. And I sat there like this.
There was a lot of choices in the film.
Visually, it was stunning. It really was. Visually, it was beautiful. But it wasn't Alice in Wonderland.
No.
Like, the first time I saw it, I was like, yes, this is brilliant. Mm-hmm. And then, like, I got home and I thought about it and I was like,
no,
what is it?
It was Alice in Burton Land. That was the problem.
I was like, I can see what he's trying to do, but he should have just done Alice in Wonderland. It was almost like it was a sequel, but it wasn't a sequel.
Yeah.
And I still say that visually it was brilliant. I really enjoyed it.
It's one of them things where you hear about it and you think everything ticks the box, but it was almost like he was scared to pull the trigger. As you said, it was kind of like a sequel to Alice without being a sequel.
Yeah.
It was like, what happened now if she's a little bit older and she goes to thing. And again, I know doing Wonderland's always going to be hard, but the amount of CGI they did use, like on Twinkle Dee and Twinkle Dum, was unnecessary.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. It was fucking ridiculous. I found it. I did like the actress who played Alice. I thought she did really well. I love Crispin Glover. Crispin Glover he is my spirit animal. I fucking love him. He's weird. He's class. Just a fantastic character when, like, as him, you know what I mean? But it just felt like, oh, you've got Helena Bonham Carter in because she's your bird. And, like, this Underland. Do you know what it reminds me of? Mm-hmm. In Underworld, out the Coronation Street, where they make bras and knickers.
A lot of the cast I did like. I loved Michael Sheen as the White Rabbit.
Yeah.
Yes.
I loved that. Alan Rickman as Absalom.
Yeah.
Was Alan Rickman as Absalom? Was brilliant.
Cheshire Cat. It had all the staples of amazingness, but it was back. I think
Anne Hathaway looked amazing.
Yeah. Oh.
She really did. She was brilliant. So it did have all the ingredients. It just wasn't.
It didn't.
I don't know. Just something wasn't right, I guess.
Yeah. No. It's a difficult one because, like I say, I think everyone's got. I think it will be. I think not. It's not a Tim Burton film, but the the sequel that came out, Return to Oz. Not the scary one. What was the one that was starred James Franco? Oz the Great and Powerful.
Oz the Great and Powerful.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Because everyone's got a vision of what the Wizard of Oz and Oz looks like and how the feel should be. And if you don't get it the right, it doesn't fit and it doesn't sit in. And I think it's the same with Wonderland. Everyone's got that idea, and I don't think many people have got a different idea to what Wonderland should be or anything like that. So when you deviate away too far from the beaten track, what you believe, or like say Wizard of Oz, it's hard to accept. And then sorry,
I always cut Alice in Wonderland, Tim Burton's Alice in Wonderland, a little bit of slack because I'm such a fan of Tim Burton, because I'm such a fan of Alice in Wonderland. I think my expectations going in were really high.
Yeah. I think
you are the Queen of Wonderland, to be fair.
That was my problem as well. I've got like Alice in Wonderland tattoos. I've always been a massive fan. I was over the moon when Vivienne Westwood brought out her own like Alice in Wonderland like kind of copy of the book. I was just like, I was the sort of person like, oh my god, I heard about it, I'll get it the day it's released, that sort of stuff. And but it really fell flat with me. And it was, do you know what? I left with this placid smile on my face thinking, oh, wasn't so bad.
I don't know how it got a sequel. That was the thing, but the sequel was worse.
Don't talk about the sequel.
The sequel's even. The sequel's like, because the thing is with Tim Burton, he doesn't do too many sequels. So I was surprised that this came out. And
was the sequel Tim Burton? Was the sequel Tim Burton?
Was it not? I felt like a Tim Burton. But
it did feel like, I can't remember that actually was. Yeah, the sequel wasn't good.
I've never actually watched the sequel, but I didn't actually. I mean, I didn't love it, but I didn't mind the first one. But I think I'm not as much of an Alice in Wonderland fan as you and Kelly, so that's probably why.
You're probably more of a fan of Alice, like the game, the dark Alice in the Dark World, like we say, with all the chains and the whips and stuff.
I love that.
I must say, I brought some little friends because I knew I was going to like upset myself with the Alice chat, but it had to be said because, as I say, it was a moment where I kind of coped through Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and it was naff.
We're not talking about that.
The music in it was good.
No.
It's good.
The music in it was great.
Staring Girl from The Melancholy Death of Oyster Boy. Yes, I have. Boy. I have Trash Girl, and one of my personal favourites, the boy with nails in his eyes.
Yeah,
I love him.
Yeah, can we not talk about Charlie and the Chocolate Factory? I don't think I can handle it. Sorry, that's trauma that I don't think I can take. I'm a huge Roald Dahl fan, and I love the Gene Wilder one, even though Roald Dahl hated it. But the travesty that he did.
It was truer to the books, it was. But again, you think Roald Dahl, Tim Burton, Match Made in Heaven.
And it wasn't.
It didn't quite work.
I never got over Johnny Depp's teeth in that film. I just couldn't stop looking at them.
Only collaboration I've enjoyed for Roald. I mean, I did like James and the Giant Peach to a point.
I love James and the Giant Peach.
It was George's Marvellous Medicine on Jack and Nori with fucking Rick Mail. That is, I've just finished reading because my son watched Fantastic Mr. Fox, the Wes Anderson film, and he loves it. So I said, we've got the book. Do you want me to read it? I've been reading a few chapters a night. He bloody loved it. We've read that, we've read the Twits, and we've just finished George's Marvellous Medicine, and he thought it was absolutely amazing. And I am going to like get him to watch, kind of, because I just loved it, you know what I mean? But as you say, you would think Roald Dahl and Tim Burton would go well, and it just, as I say, his later escapades, Burton, fell flat with me, but it's a good job. He's got redeeming features, regards to his earlier exploits, which I adored. But as anything that's Tim Burton coming out now, I'll be like, nah, I'll give it a miss. Give Dumbo a miss. I'm quite happy that my dogs don't like animals, so I don't watch it. You know what I mean?
I think the golden age of Burton was the 90s. 1990 onwards was the golden age of Burton.
I agree wholeheartedly.
When he was allowed to just do what he wants to do, but again, you don't know if it's a studio or if it's just him just like winging it now, just saying I can just put my name to anything and people would see it. But I think that, again, I know you mentioned it earlier, Charlotte, with what's coming out next, like with him doing the Addams Family. It's not Addams Family. Sorry, it's Wednesday. He's doing
Wednesday, yeah.
Yeah, it's having like Wednesday all grown up. I think Catherine Zeta-Jones is playing Morticia.
I am. Isn't it Louise Guzman is Gomez?
Yes, yeah.
Which I think could work. I kind of like that.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, he doesn't have to be handsome and just has to be charming and worships.
I'm really interested to see how he translates from movie to TV.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Because, as I might be wrong, but I don't think he's done television before, has he?
I don't think so. Not like he's done documentaries or like shorts and stuff like that, but he's never done like a limited series or anything like that. It's all, well, to be honest, I don't think he can go anywhere when it comes to films anymore because, like, say, these latest ones, as you've said, Dark Shadows, which was a bit of a miss. Miss Peregrine, Dumbo. I don't know if his contract with Disney's run out, so I don't know if he's going to be making any others. I don't think there's any other live action ones that would fit with the Tim Burton. Maybe I wouldn't mind seeing his version of Peter Pan.
He did one called Big Eyes. I don't know if anybody's seen it.
No, I haven't heard of it.
Based on an artist, and I can't remember her name, in the 60s, I think it was. And it wasn't a typical Tim Burton film. It was just he was telling the story of this artist who, you'll know the paintings because the paintings are quite classically girls with big eyes. But our husband took all the credit for her art and then divorced her, and she got nothing for it. And it's just it's a character piece. Like there's a few elements of Tim Burton in there, like visually and that, but it's just a character piece, and it's probably one of his better, more recent films. I like because it's just storytelling.
Yeah, I like Frankenweenie. I noticed that.
Frankenweenie.
I didn't like. I enjoyed the original, but I did enjoy this. And was it the soundtrack was lovely? He's got Karen O on there, and the yeah is just like one of the band sings this. What I love now is that I can put a Tim Burton film on, like such as like Nightmare Before Christmas. I mean, he's obsessed with Nightmare Before Christmas, Huxley, my son. He knows all the songs, the words and everything. He loves it, and he's got his outfit and stuff. We watched Frankenweenie and he loved that. And it's nice because a little bit like what you were saying earlier, John, I get to watch Edward Scissorhands. I do hope at some point I'll watch other films with him. Like, I know I watched Beetlejuice when I was 4. The idea of letting my son watch Beetlejuice like put shivers down my spine. What the hell is like child abuse, you know? But at some point, I think he'd appreciate it and enjoy it. But as I say, his later exploits, apart from Frankenweenie, it's a big thumbs down from me.
I'd love to see him do some more animation because I think he does animation brilliantly, and I'd love to see him get back to that.
Yeah, just take it back a few steps. No, but like I said, just before we continue, because as we're talking about music as well, we might as well talk about because I know I'm not a big fan of it, but Donna and Charlotte both said they enjoyed it, so I'll let you talk about the foray into the musical aspect, shall we say?
Oh no, I'm in your camp, Paul. You're like,
yes, but like I say, they like it, so we'll give them a chance to talk about it. So.
Let's face it, though, if Tim Burton's going to do a musical, it's going to be about putting people in pies, isn't it?
Yeah. Definitely. I'm with you there.
I just love the title, though. I did love the title, Sweeney Todd, the Demon Barber of Fleet Street, and again having like I said, Johnny Depp and Helena Bonham Carter. I know, like I said, he likes them, but they are perfect casting. I just wish it wasn't all. I just wish it wasn't all singing. That's all, because Johnny Depp cannot sing.
I think that's more to do with the stage show, because the stage show is predominantly singing as well. And obviously, with it being a Stephen Sondheim stage show originally, you don't really mess with that too much.
No, I agree. I know it's probably down to my personal preference or anything like that, but I think it got old quite quickly, I think, for me.
I was quite surprised at Helena Bonham Carter's voice, to be honest.
Yeah.
I remember because I was really excited for this when it came out. I saw it on release day, and I still really love it. It's probably a bit of a guilty pleasure because not many people do, but I still really love it. And I remember Helena Bonham Carter watching an interview with her, and she was saying like this was her dream role. Since she saw it when she was a kid, and from like being tiny, she just wanted to be Mrs. Lovett.
Yeah.
To the point where he made her audition for it, and he made her prove she could sing, and it wasn't just like the other other films where he was like, okay,
yes,
you can have the part. He made her work for this one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really do love it.
Cool. What do you
Really suit the whole accents as well, like the London style accent. She just suits it so well.
Yeah. You can tell such a trained actress, you know what I mean? She's just so good at what she does.
And she was pregnant for a lot of the filming as well. So a lot of
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so a lot of the more like physical scenes, because Mrs. Lovett has quite a few physical scenes. So a lot towards the end, they set up like, I think he spent like a large portion of the budget just making sure she was safe, because obviously she was pregnant with his kid.
I could barely move when I was up there.
You're like a stick thing, so didn't worry. So don't know what was it that was it just basically like generally because it's a bit sinister and a bit dark? Is that what drew you to the dark side there, Donna?
I guess so. I don't really know why I like it so much. I think it is just the style, and like.
I know you're a big fan of musicals as well, though, aren't you? So
that probably adds to it. But I don't mind he's singing in it. Actually, I was listening to the soundtrack earlier while I was getting ready. For some reason, when I was listening to it, I was like kind of thinking like imagining what like Hugh Jackman would be in that style.
Of course you were.
To be fair, you just imagine Hugh Jackman in any style. That's probably the best thing for you, Donna.
I think it's the style of the singing that he had in it. Kind of, I felt like he was trying to go for like a style of Hugh Jackman in his singing voice.
Yeah, it reminds us a lot of Les Miserables, the movie that when that came out, it was a lot similar, but as I said, with a darker thing. But to be fair though, if you were going to say, are you imagining Hugh Jackman would be on all fours, don't lie. But,
I'm not going to get through a podcast without mentioning Hugh Jackman.
Hugh Jackman, yes. It's like, at least it's not like Dr. Cox and hating Hugh Jackman, so that's fine. But the cast in this was absolutely up there as well. Like as you said, Johnny Depp, Helena Bonham Carter, Alan Rickman, Timothy Spall as well, and Sacha Baron. Look, I'll take his word. Sacha Baron Cohen.
I think it's probably the only film that I can stand him in. I'm not a big fan of him, and I thought he was great in this.
Yeah.
When he does serious well.
He does musicals really well. Like he was in him and Helena Bonham Carter were in Les Mis.
Yeah.
And they were brilliant in it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think it's sometimes if he doesn't take himself so seriously though, but yeah, I think with any type of, because with even being as controversial as he is, because I think he is a controversial director for not his views, but for the fact that he didn't go with the grain and wanted to stand out and be different at a time where everyone was saying this is how you have to fit in. I think he'll always be as iconic for that, and he gave us so much with. When you think about, because you think of Tim Burton, you think there's a plethora of films out there, but there's not as many as you probably would think with other directors or other producers. But I think his quality stood head and shoulders above a lot more, and that's why he's probably stood the test of time.
Yes.
And we're still talking about him today. Like, say, if not many directors now started in the 80s and are now in 2022, and we're still excited or interested in films that they are involved in. Like, how many directors? Like, probably Spielberg.
A lot of these films have aged really well. Like, you could put Edward Scissorhands on now, and because it's all practical effects, it's aged really well.
Yeah.
Like, and there's not many directors that you can say that about.
No,
because I mean, Edward Scissorhands was 30 odd years ago now.
Yeah.
Fuck
off. Sorry.
Cheers for that.
But you could watch it tomorrow, and it doesn't have. It's not dated. It doesn't have sort of exists outside of time. Like you could put it on now and be like, oh well, this was based 5 years ago.
To be fair, it sounds a lot like me. I just exist outside time a lot of the things in my own little mind. I'm sure my wife would agree with that one. But yeah, no.
This week I watched Ed Wood for the first time. Actually, I hadn't seen it before.
Ed Wood.
Strange.
I watched it well, but because I had night shift the previous morning, I fell asleep halfway through and woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning on the settee, and I was like, "Where am I?
So you were actually Ed Wood then. So what did you think of it then, Donna?
I actually quite enjoyed it. And I noticed Kingpin was in it. What's it called? Vincent
D'Onofrio.
He's in everything.
Yeah, he's in everything, isn't he?
Yeah,
I quite enjoyed it. Like, I think Johnny Depp did really good in that style, like the wacky director style.
Oh, I think it's very eclectic. I don't think many people, like, if you like Tim Burton, you probably would be more going to it. But if you showed it to someone like now that had no idea who Tim Burton was or any of his previous work, they'll probably watch it and go, "What the fuck am I watching?"
It absolutely bombed at the box office.
Oh
yes.
Absolutely bombed, didn't it?
Yeah. I think it only got a resurgence like 10, 15 years after it was released. With a lot of films, like found its voice on VHS or DVD.
Yes, Burton bringing it. Yeah.
But I mean, a lot of Tim Burton's films have done that, because I mean, like Nightmare Before Christmas.
Oh,
as huge as it is now, it's got a cult following now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, cult.
Yeah.
Like as huge as it is now, the merchandise is everywhere and everybody knows it. It didn't do that great when it first came out.
Yeah, Disney want all over it now, don't they?
Exactly. But on release, it kind of passed people by.
Yeah, I'm quite grateful that I got into it when it originally came out. Like I was in like the thick of it, and it was just one of these films that I used to talk about it at school, and everyone was like, "What are you talking about? Watch Toy Story or something." And I was just like, "No, Nightmare Before Christmas." And something that really just I actually wore out my VHS from watching it that much. I adored it so much. So I feel really grateful that, like, I was there when it happened, you know what I mean? And it's so lovely that I can bond with my son over our, like, kind of, joint love about it. As you say, because timeless, like, aspect of it, which is just so lush. Yeah.
You think, because when you think about family films that sort of gap between generations and get passed down, you think Disney and all that, but Tim Burton does it quite well, because like Donna said, she sat and watched Edward Scissorhands and probably enjoyed it even more because you were watching it with your daughter for the first time.
Yeah, I was like, I kept looking over like proudly because she was like glued. Like she normally should, like, halfway through a movie, like, oh, I want to go on my phone, go upstairs or whatever, but she did not with this one. I was quite impressed.
No, that's cool. That's a really nice moment, and I said that, like, it goes back to how Nerdy Up North started as well, because me too, like I say, one of my good friends, Julie, who I've told the story many times. I'll keep telling the story because I absolutely love it. Is the fact that she showed her two bands, the Goonies, for the first time, and she took videos and photos of their reactions, like how they were scared and how engrossed and how they cheered at certain points, and it just shows you how special films can be. And I know probably back in the day it was probably books, you passing on your favourite books, but there's a difference between sitting there and reading a book with someone to sitting there and experience something that's like live. Like if you go to the stage, or I can still remember the first time I saw Wicked and hearing Defying Gravity. I can still remember when Sloth saved Chunk by coming down the sail. When Forrest Gump says "I love you, Jenny." These are the aspects that stay with you and you can remember forever. And when you share them with your family and share them with someone that you care about, it means that much more.
I think that's why Tim Burton stands out, because like his golden age was the 90s, and as you've said, a lot of the 90s films were the same sort of formula. There were action films, or there were teen comedies,
not so much the 80s films.
Tim Burton was just doing something completely different, and he was standing out, and that's why they might not have done well when they came out, but
they're doing well now.
they're doing well now, and people are remembering them, and they're wanting like their kids and their nephews and nieces, and they're wanting the younger generations to appreciate them as much as they did.
Oh, it'll be birthing new goths every year, so you'll never get rid of your dark, your pale skinned bastards. But yeah, no, I actually I've really enjoyed talking about it, and like I say, I've forgotten Sammy wasn't even here. Sorry, I'll put your picture back on there, Sammy. Hi, Sam. But yes, like I say, we'll wrap up now. I don't know if there's anything else you guys want to add, because we've talked quite a lot there, bless you.
I'm talked out, to be honest. I'm burtoned out. For once.
But yeah, but thank you so much for, like I say, jumping on and helping us out, Donna. Like I say, you've been an amazing host, and like I say, I might actually get sacked Sam now for the intros and get you to do the intros, because I loved yours there. So you might have found yourself a new job.
Sam's still living in his basement. She's going to nerdy up roast pies tomorrow.
I'll definitely let her out for next week, so we'll be back.
So I was going to say, is Jake not in there as well? No, is Nicole still got
wrong basement.
Wrong basement. Wrong trunk of the car. But yeah, but like I say, thank you for everyone who's tuned in and watched. Like I say, the chat's been very quiet, because the main instigators in the chat are normally are here talking tonight for once. So, but that doesn't bother us. But no, like I say, anyone who watches it, please, like I say, subscribe on YouTube, on Instagram. We're on Instagram. I keep forgetting now. Nerdy Up North.
Twitter.
Nerdy Up. Yeah, sorry.
Twitter.
Oh, Twitter.
We're on Twitter.
I can't get my head around Twitter. I'm trying. All I seem to do is just tweet Kevin Smith. Please like me. Please like me. So I don't know how that's going well, but hopefully, like I say, in the next few weeks we are going to plan on doing a Kevin Smith episode. I've forgotten what's next week's episode. What we're doing. Can't remember. Cartoons. Yes, we're going. We're losing. Yeah, we're talking about cartoons from our childhood, I believe. Yes. So
leave a few weeks between Tim Burton and Kevin Smith.
Yeah, so the rivalry can just grow, and we can build that rumour up again. So Kevin Smith hates Tim Burton, so we'll put that hashtag out as well. So the hashtags we've got now is Donna's Cookies, Charlotte's Feet, and Kevin Smith hates Tim Burton. So yes. But yes, please join the Nerdy Up North Book Club, our Facebook group. We're on, like I say, most places on the podcast now, which I don't know how we keep finding new places, but seem to be. We seem to be doing well in America, so please, if your Americans are watching us, I do apologise for my accent. But same bat time, same bat channel.
Bye.
Bye. And Sam would say, stay nerdy, everyone.
Stay nerdy, everyone.
Bye.